How about the national rankings?
AP top 25 up to 13. That's just up one spot. People are going, well, why is it just one spot? Well, only one team lost in front of them, and that's kind of how it goes with the AP.
Yeah, it's kind of where you start at the beginning of the year, but teams are going to continue to lose in front of them. We're going to talk about some big games this week. A couple teams in front of them playing that have a chance to lose. If you just look at resumes and strength of schedule and strength of wins, BYU has 2 wins against ranked opponents. They probably should be a couple higher. They really should. But because of where they started,
which was way outside
of it, not even like people were saying in the 50s.
Yeah.
So they came a long way. So let's not get too worried about that right now.
Just win. If you just win, it just takes care of it.
You keep winning. We learned this in 1984, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just keep winning. It'll take care of itself.
And in the big dance, win in advance.
Just keep winning, and it'll take care of itself.
Number 13 in the coaches poll as well. Scheduling news, Central Florida game. That's coming up on October 26th in Orlando, and they're going to hold off until Sunday to announce the start time. Trying to figure out how big of a game it is.
Right.
Is it on Fox? Is it on ESPN? Is it prime time? Is it in the afternoon? So we're going to know on Sunday for BYU and Central Florida.
Right. In Central Florida, if they go and win on the road at Iowa State, and we'll talk about the whole schedule, that changes this game, right? So if they lose to Iowa State, it's not as big a game. If they beat Iowa State, then it's a big, big game and likely to get a little more, right?
Yes. So let's talk about that game Saturday in front of a full house. Cougars turned 4 turnovers into 24 points. Retzlaff, 18 of 32, 218 yards, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 28 yards. A lot of quarterbacks, when they like to run, end up with minus yardage. He ran just enough to keep things going. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, the stadium was sold out. Retzlaff, he's right on the verge of being like big time right now. He's reeled in those crazy mistakes. And you talked to Steve Young on Monday. Then you and I talked to him again on Saturday on the air. And he talked about Jake each game getting a little bit better at understanding what he can get away with. He calls it his, what do you call it? His, like it's not his cowboy, but just this penchant to just want to go out and make a big play. He's reeled that in. He's making the plays he can make. He's throwing the ball away when he needs to. He's not throwing the ball into traffic. And he's taking care of the ball. Now I want to see his completion percentage up just a couple of points. The benchmark for where I think is great is between 63 and 65%. So he was 18 of 32. That's 56%. Think about it. 3 more completions. If he goes 21 of 32, now he's 65%. And I can think of a couple of balls that if he gets out a little quicker, and even Jake mentioned this in his post-game interview with us, he gets to 65%, and that line is, probably another 30 yards. So 248, 250, maybe 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 65%. Now you're talking elite performance. Right now he's right up in the top of the country. I'm talking about if we're going to start comparing him to some of the greats that have played here, I'd like to see him up over 60% every game.
Hey, Doyle Larry from Orem says hello and says, hey, let's get some more money together to make sure Jay Hill doesn't leave. That's a good business plan. Doyle wants to know why we don't use the tight ends as much. And that's kind of a surprise.
Yeah, and Hill did finally. Keanu Hill had 3 receptions in the last game.
And they gave Swanson a handoff.
Right, they did hand him off. I want to see him use Swanson more because I think he's a freakish athlete. Just get him the ball in space. I think this offense is getting better every week, Doyle. And I think that it's expanding every week. And I believe the tight ends are actually going to come because Jake Retzlaff is seeing the field better every week. And you know where the hardest place to see is for a quarterback that's young? Or inexperienced. He's not young, but inexperienced. The middle of the field. Yeah. Where all those big dudes are building a wall in front of you. And so, swashbuckler was the word.
Steve liked to use that.
Steve's likes to
use. He used that on this show. He used that on Fox's big noon kickoff, and he used it on game day.
And he did say that he wants him not to be the swashbuckler that he was at Tampa Bay. He wants the Steve Young that was at the Niners. Yeah, don't we all? I think everybody wants their quarterback to be the Steve Young that was at the Niners. So, you know what else I loved about this game? A +3 in turnover margin, which was great. And remember, the one fumble BYU had was late in the game. Hinckley's just got to focus and not turn it over, but it was meaningless. Yeah. And the team averaged 5.4 yards a carry running the ball. That's the best running average they've had all year as a team. Hinckley Rapati had 9 carries and averaged 7.2 yards a carry. LJ Martin had 11 carries and averaged 4.5 yards a carry. And as you already mentioned, Jake did a good job running the football as well. And then there was balance in the receiving. Lassiter had 5 receptions. Roberts had 5. Martin had 3. Hill had 3. 3 other receivers had 1 each. When BYU has that kind of balance, they're really hard to stop. They were sharing the football around the field. Jake was making great decisions. There was great balance with run and pass. That's the formula. If this team's going to go play in a Big 12 championship game, the offense needs to look the way it did this last Saturday.
What did everybody think of Fox's Big Noon Kickoff show? Why don't you share that with us on the live stream? I thought they were great. It started with Cosmo parachuting in. They had a good time. And then on game day, we had Steve Young and Gifford Nielsen and their big basketball recruits in attendance. We'll talk about in just a little bit. Could Saturday have gone any better for BYU as a whole when it comes to BYU sports?
The big noon kickoff Fox show, that pregame show, they said that's the best attendance they've ever had at one. And the analyst Matt Leinart and Gus Johnson, who was the play-by-play, they said that it's one of the best environments they've ever seen in college football. I think BYU put on a show, and don't you love that the timing timed out, that Fred Warner, the best defensive player in the NFL, was on a bye week and could come to the game.
Yes.
Puka Nacua, who's on IR, shows up at the game. Hall of Famer Steve Young shows up at the game. I mean, and they were taking all kinds of pictures of them, and people are going, oh, yeah, this is a big-time program, and they have big-time players. And I did like it that those basketball, football recruits were down on the sidelines, and Puka and Fred and Steve were having conversations with them and telling them what a great place this is to play. Right?
It was really cool.
And then you got Cosmo. How about what can't Cosmo do? So he parachutes into the stadium in the Big 12 show, the Fox Big 12 show. He lines up all the guys and Steve Young, 4 of them.
Yeah.
Runs in from off the stage.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go.
And does a barrel roll flip over all 4 of them and lands on his feet.
It was fantastic.
There's no mascot in America better than Cosmo.
And Urban Meyer got booed most of the show.
Which was funny. And he did a great job with it.
I think he encouraged that too.
Yeah,
it was just a good time.
It was fun.
Weather was perfect. And then they win the game. Now they lead the series with Arizona 13-12 with 1 tie. So they're in control of that. Let's talk about what we liked from Saturday. And we were mentioning turnovers. They're always such a big deal. Cougars turned them into points. 24 points off those 4 turnovers. 9 of BYU's turnovers this season now have resulted in 55 points. 55.
Yeah. Turnovers are great. Points off of turnovers are even better. And BYU has been one of the best in the country, top 10 in the country, and points off of turnovers. That's huge. And they're game changers. Happened at, Kansas State came in here, and it was a flurry of turnovers that turned the game, and it was the same thing here. So we also liked that 10 points in the first 149 of the second half. You know how Kalani always talks about, and we talk about on the show, BYU winning the middle 8. They have a combined score of 57-17 over opponents in the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half, which is huge. It's demoralizing for the other team when BYU does this. And, what do we like the most of all of it? The BYU's bowl eligible in 6 games.
Imagine that. Bowl eligible in 6 games. How many
Nobody
conversations?
Predicted, well, we did. None of the national pundits had BYU going to a bowl game.
No, and I remember we spent all summer trying to figure out where they were going to get 6. If they get 6, maybe they could get 7.
I projected 7.
And now they're already at 6.
I projected 7, and I was off. I was off.
If we win Friday, you're spot on.
Everybody, yeah, but they're going to continue to win. Everybody being so bleak about their house, I was like thinking, can they win 8 or 9? And I'm like, maybe I better temper that because everybody's saying they can only win 4. Maybe I ought to back off to 7. And so I let people influence me.
Yeah, you did.
From what I thought. So.
But you know what? Kalani seemed to know what he had, but not very many others did.
Michael Zimmerman says,
biggest surprise of college football.
Yeah, Michael Zimmerman says if the defense can continue with their defensive averages, they can go undefeated.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Some people believe in that. Every single projection as of this week for the college football playoff has BYU in it.
Everyone.
Every one of them.
We'll get Harvey's opinion on that here in a minute. Timothy from Perth, Australia is back with us. John from Allen, Texas. It's good to have all of you guys on the live stream. We'll try to give you as many shout-outs as we can, but please let us know, and everyone else on the stream, know where you're watching us tonight. What we didn't like were those long TV timeouts.
Oh, man.
When the game's on a major network, those commercial breaks are 3.5 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
Sometimes they feel longer, but that's the price you pay to play.
Right, because they're big advertisers that are on these big national. Yeah, it seems like forever.
Yeah, they didn't care that the game would go 5 hours. They're running ads.
There wasn't much else that we didn't like in that game.
It was just a good one.
Such a great performance, and such. Again, we keep coming back to this. This is one of the greatest environments in college football. It really is. And we've been I've been at an Ohio State Michigan game. I've been in the Swamp at Florida. You called the game at Tennessee.
Yep.
You know, I've been in games at A&M and at Texas. You and I have both done games at Texas. I've done a game at Notre Dame.
Special place.
There is no place on game day that is as electric or more electric than BYU is right now. It's incredible.
And Friday night will be under the lights, and Dave Almadova and his staff are cooking up some stuff.
Is it going to rain and snow?
It's supposed to rain in the day and be clear Friday night. No snow.
Just cold.
Yeah, just cold.
We'll
Lower
right
32.
We got to wear our big coats.
We'll be in the 30s for our post-game show.
Yikes.
So Brian was in last week, as many of you know, while Blaine was sitting on the beach. And he gave us the 3 keys to beating Arizona. He said, going to run the ball. And BYU ran for 147 yards. Most importantly, 5.4 yards per carry. He said they got to score 30-plus or more. They scored 41.
Yeah.
And create turnovers. And they created 4.
Man, they hit a home run with Brian's keys.
Week. That's a good week for BYU.
We're gonna get we're gonna get my keys to the Oklahoma State. Maybe Harvey will give us some keys to Oklahoma State too.
Big 12 national rankings. Iowa State is up to 9. BYU's at 13. Kansas State is 17. SMU, they're not in the Big 12, but BYU beat them in Dallas. We keep tabs on them. They're 21.
Yeah. BYU has 2 ranked victories. Does anybody else have that this year? Because BYU's strength of schedule right now is like top 3 in the country.
There might be one other team, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I looked to see where the Utes were in both polls, and they're not.
No. Are they even receiving votes anywhere?
I don't even know. But they're not. Man. They're out.
Yeah.
They're out and dealing with their own. So we'll deal with them on the 9th.
Yeah.
Big 12 standings. Let's go over them.
Yeah, BYU tied for first with Iowa State and Texas Tech, all 3-0. I do like that whenever the Big 12 published a standings, they put BYU on top.
Yeah, it's almost like that's how it should be.
Why is that? Why do they put them first? Is it alphabetical? Is it because they got
points.
to 3-0 first? The number of points whatever it is, they have BYU always listed first and Iowa State second, Texas Tech third. So and so that means that the next group are tied for 4th, right? And you've got Kansas State at 2-1, Arizona State at 2-1, Cincinnati at 2-1, Colorado at 2-1, and West Virginia at 2-1. So a log jam at tied for 4th. Then I know you want to talk about this. Who's tied for 9th?
The Utes are tied for 9th. They're 1-2. Cam Rising's out indefinitely. And so BYU's probably going to face the freshman quarterback up in Salt Lake on November 9th.
Yeah.
And that'll be a big one. Let's talk about the road to Arlington, which BYU is now officially on.
Yes, they are.
That's where the Big 12 championship game is. The home games left for BYU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Houston.
I like them 3-0.
I like them 3-0 there. Road games, UCF, which has lost 3 straight, Utah, and Arizona State. So there's 3 scenarios. 3 scenarios to get to Arlington.
Yeah. If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button. The scariest one of that road game, we'll talk about it because let's talk about scenario 1 or scenario A. Let's go A, B, and C. Okay. You go 3-0 at home, and then you win 2 of the 3 on the road.
Okay.
People would say Utah's the scariest one. I think Arizona State on the road is the scariest one right now.
Right now, they just beat Utah.
Well, and Scattaboo, they're running back.
Let's see where they are in a month.
Yeah, we'll see. But they looked really good the other night. He is a quality player. So let's say they win at UCF, they win at Utah, and they lose at Arizona State, or win. So they go 2-3. Then they end up 11-1 and 8-1.
11-1.
And at 11-1. They're probably in the Big 12 championship game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. They've already got the tiebreaker over Kansas State.
And they're probably ranked still at 11-1. They're probably still ranked in the top 10.
Yeah.
So
option B, you go 3-0 at home. You win at least one of the 3 road games. That puts you at 10-2 and 7-2, and 7-2 with the tiebreaker on Kansas State still might get you into Arlington.
Right. That you get on the line, but I still think you got a great chance. And if we would have said at the beginning of the year, like right now I'm going to be disappointed if they do that. How can I even say that after what expectations were, right? So then scenario 3 is, why don't you just win them all and go 12-0? That's what Michael Zimmerman says they're going to do.
Yeah, why not? That's the scenario that gets you to Arlington.
Well, and then John Franklin says we have not lost in Arlington, Texas.
I thought TCU got us there one year.
Did we play them in Arlington?
Didn't that year Riley Nelson gave the high five? Wasn't that in Arlington at Jerry Jones's place?
No, I think that one was in TCU Stadium.
Was it?
Yeah, wasn't that the Armed Forces Bowl?
We beat Oklahoma there.
I think that's the only game we've played there.
I thought TCU beat us there. We'll have to double check.
We'll double check.
But we like the way you're thinking.
Yeah, I like
John.
that thinking too, John.
This week in the Big 12, Oklahoma State's at BYU Friday night. TCU's at Utah in the late game on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. Utah.
The Horned Frog defense is coming after the freshman quarterback.
And Utah looked bad the other night.
Yeah, they just looked lost.
Yeah. Baylor's at Texas Tech. Texas Tech's trying to make a statement, right?
UCF's at Iowa State. Could UCF lose 4? They were contenders about a month ago, and something's gone.
They looked so
off the
good,
rocker
and then all of a sudden they've looked not good. And Iowa State looks really good.
Yeah.
They look like a complete football team. So there you go.
Kansas State's at West Virginia. That'll be an interesting one.
West Virginia's as physical a team as there in this league, and it's hard to play in Morgantown, right?
I thought West Virginia would have a better shot against Iowa State, but they didn't. Yeah. Colorado is at Arizona. Arizona State's at Cincinnati, and Houston is at Kansas. Now, national games of interest become more interesting because teams ahead of BYU that lose allow BYU to climb.
Yeah, so you got number 7 Alabama and number 11 Tennessee. That's the big game this week. And if Tennessee loses another one, BYU absolutely moves in front of Tennessee. They should be in front of Tennessee right now with their schedule.
I thought so.
Yeah,
I was kind of hoping that Florida would have upset them on Saturday.
Yeah.
But Florida's terrible. How are you Florida and you don't have a quarterback? You can't even run a screen pass.
It should be impossible, right?
Yeah.
So that's one if Bama wins, although it is at Tennessee. So here's my question. If Bama loses,
they fall.
Did they go behind BYU?
They've just been getting by the skin of their teeth as it is.
And they did lose to Vanderbilt. Let's never forget that.
Yeah. And Miami could lose at Louisville.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye on that. How about this? Let's do bowl projections. Now, on the live stream and our podcast, don't lose control of the car while we do some of these projections.
Yeah, this is not us.
Stay focused.
These are not our projections.
These are the national guys. And Harvey Longy is going to join us in a couple of minutes. We're going to ask him some of this stuff too. But here are 4 bowl projections out today.
Let's start with CBS, Jerry Palm, who I always go to Jerry Palm to see where, and he's been pretty good on projecting where BYU goes. He's got BYU against Penn State in the college football playoffs.
Okay.
And you know what? He has them in the second round. He has a bye in the first round for them and then in the second round.
Brett McMurphy, who is our friend, he's on BYU Sports Nation all the time. He's usually on the money. He's got BYU and Georgia in the college football playoff. You heard me right. BYU and Georgia. Harvey, you heard me right. BYU and Georgia.
And then the college football news has BYU against Oregon in the college football playoff.
Beating Ohio State the other night. 24/7 Sports, BYU against Oregon in the college football playoff. Every bowl projection out today on this Monday has BYU in the college football playoff. Now, that doesn't mean they can't come out and lose Friday or whatever, but that means just right now in the world that we live in, everybody thinks BYU's going to the playoff.
It's crazy.
And we should enjoy that moment.
We got to enjoy it because just how many weeks ago did they all think they were going to win 4 games?
Not very many. Not very many.
It's crazy to me. So, hey, by the way, we're going to do a preview on Oklahoma State.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But we might as well answer Minty Buckwalter right now, who says, Blaine and Dave, your thoughts on Oklahoma State head coach Mike Gundy getting headbutted by one of his cattle over the weekend?
Here's what he said today. Here's what he told the media, because he moved his press conference from being in front of a camera to Zoom and off camera. He said, I had a little run-in with my cattle over the weekend, and I guess they've been watching us play.
I love that he said that.
So anyway, he got headbutted by a cow, and so you know what? He might be a game time decision.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're going to see
Here's
out of him.
Is Mike
on
is he in
Friday.
Concussion protocol? What's the deal? He should be.
Do you go to protocol like that if you get hit by a cow?
I feel like if you get butted by a cow, you have to be in concussion protocol, especially if you weren't wearing a helmet. So
that's just nuts. That's just you know what, you're having a bad fall when that's what's going on. You've lost 3 straight, and then you get headbutted by a cow.
It's crazy.
On the bye week.
Yeah. That's just rubbing salt in the wound.
Let's talk about the Cowboys for a moment before we bring Harvey in. Friday night, BYU hosting Oklahoma State. Game day starts at 6 o'clock Mountain Time. 2 hours and 15 minutes of coverage on BYU TV and ESPN+.
Yeah, and then at 8:15, Cowboys and the Cougs are on ESPN. So they're on the mothership on Friday night, 8:15 Mountain Time. And then when the game's over, you come back to us. We'll take you into the wee hours of the morning if we need to.
Yeah. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
We'll do it. We'll stay out there in the cold. We'll put warm jackets on. And Harvey, you there with us this week? Possibly. Harvey's
still negotiating.
He's got to get a coat first.
Mahanrai from Jakarta, Indonesia is on the live stream tonight. Good to have you with us. Las Vegas opened with BYU a touchdown favorite. I think that's a little larger now.
Yeah.
That's significant considering how BYU's playing and how Oklahoma State has been playing.
Yeah.
But this game could go any number of directions. The Cougars are going to wear the white helmets, the royal shirts, the white pants, just like the other night, except they're going with the white face masks.
Yeah, I like the white face mask. I think it's a clean look. That's kind of the old. So we had a couple guys. Adam Haysbert he donned the white face mask back in 1984. I think he's the first. He should get credit. This should be called the Adam Haysbert combo.
All right, we can call it that.
White helmets, royal shirts with the royal numbers and stripes. White pants with the royal stripe and a white face mask. It's the Adam Haysbert look.
Here's what the fans will be wearing. They'll be wearing winter gear.
Yeah. Are the fans supposed to wear royal this week, though?
I don't know if it'll matter because you got to have your coat.
We got to get a royal coat. Come on, fans.
Are there royal coats?
Sure. We have them.
Do we have them?
Yes.
Well, then we'll be wearing them.
We have royal coats, but we're going to have to layer because
you got to layer out.
We don't have no. We have those big BYU TV, like I'm talking about, like go to Alaska royal ones.
Yeah, I survived the Iditarod in those. Yeah. Partly cloudy at game time. The low temperature Friday night's 32. Now, it was 80-something Saturday, which was fantastic. 32, a light breeze. It's supposed to be raining in the morning. Well, hopefully that'll move out like they say it will. Our friend Kevin Eubank, who's never wrong, that's the game plan. At least as of Monday. Things can change. But the beauty of it is no matter what happens, the game's going to be at night.
Right. And BYU, as we have documented many times in this show, we call it BYU Fright at Night. 24-3 in their last 27 games at night. 13-2 in their last 15 at LaVell Stadium. They just don't lose at night. Don't lose at night.
That is pretty good. The Cowboys are 3-3. They're 0-3 in the Big 12. They beat South Dakota State and Arkansas and Tulsa out of the gate, and then lost to Utah 22-19 in a game they were hardly in. Lost to Kansas State. Lost to West Virginia 38-14. And then they had a bye last week. So they've got quarterback issues. They've got morale issues, but they've got a team full of athletes, and that could be an issue come Friday night.
Right, and we already talked about Mike Gundy. I mean, is that going to be an issue? Is he going to be able to think straight? He got headbutted by a cow. I don't know what the repercussions from that are, or whether he's in concussion protocol. But
I don't either.
That could be an issue.
Thank you for watching The Wise Guy.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.